But NFL fans can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get in a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com/UCSS. Never waste the hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We did our shotgun reactions off the top of the show to the Browns' loss, but, G, I want to read you a tweet from Mitchell Schwartz, Super Bowl champion, played for the Cleveland Browns back then. I want to get your initial reaction to what Mitchell Schwartz tweeted following the Browns' loss yesterday. This is a quote tweet from a Zach Jackson tweet saying the Browns will stick with Deshaun Watson at quarterback in Week 7 against Cincinnati. Mitchell Schwartz then tweeted, "It's incredibly shitty to do to the rest of the team. Joel Bitonio is out there every week playing through who knows what and has to wreck his body when they have no chance of being good because of the quarterback. Myles Garrett is playing in pain every week. Feel for everyone else there," end quote. G, your reaction to Mitchell Schwartz pinning everything, all the Browns' issues, solely on one player?
Well, I mean, Mitchell Schwartz, did he ever play with Joel Bitonio?
He might have played.
I think he did.
Yeah,
was it 1 year?
I was going to ask Jason the same question.
Let me see. I'm going to double check it right now.
I mean, if so, he has a relationship.
He did 2 years with Bitonio.
Okay.
So he has a relationship with his guy. So that's who he's going. That's who he's going. Come to his back. Like, it's his guy. Like, so, and he probably knows Joel
He did not play with Myles though.
Joel is probably closer to the end of his career, and everybody at the end of their career would like to see him do things and go on and do some things. But I have to say, I mean, Joel has not played that well either. The offensive line has not played. I mean, the quarterback play is the worst in the league, but the offensive line play is the worst in the league. So there's a lot of different areas on the squad that need to be dealt with. And to be truthful, for me, like I almost came full circle, because I think of it like this: like, look, if you guys want to change something, change it. I've been on record saying I would have took Deshaun Watson out last week, but that's on them. Like, so you can't, if Joe Bitonio feels that way, the door is open. Go talk to Kevin Stefanski. Say, hey, look, man, I've been here a long time. I feel we better under Jameis Winston. But the thing that a lot of people have is that have a great problem with it is you guys are doing status quo stuff. Like, you're not changing anything. You're not doing anything different. You're not playing any better. You still got stupid penalties. So look, you guys have the opportunity to change your destiny every single week. Cleveland Browns come out and they do the same thing. So while I hear what Mitchell is saying, and it does suck that guys are playing with pain, but let's be clear: Deshaun Watson's getting blasted too. He's probably playing with pain. If you don't want to play in pain, get better and do something about it.
I was going to ask you, Jay, do you know what the relationship is between Joel and Mitchell?
No, I know Joel is tight with J.C. Treader. They're still close. Mitchell was only here for a couple of years, but I think all those guys.
It's always been a tight group.
I didn't read Mitchell's tweet as anything more than Mitchell's thoughts. I didn't think that was some backdoor from Joel.
You didn't?
No.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't know the relationship between the two.
Yeah.
If they're friendly and they talk, then I think it's likely that subconsciously or not, this was a mouthpiece message from Joel.
It could have been. It could have been.
Now, that's a guess on my part,
yeah.
and I shouldn't do that because I don't know what their relationship is. So I'll do it like this. I'll just say that it's a guy that played here for 2 years and knows Joel, but they don't speak about the current position.
Right.
His tweet, aside from being right, I mean, of course it's right. I think that I wonder if Kevin Stefanski will even hear about that, see that. If he has to be thinking about the careers of two perennial Pro Bowl guys, and who knows, likely one of the two is a Hall of Famer, and Joel, I don't know. I think the jury's still out on Joel. All that being said, I said last week, both here and on Channel 3, I read the definition of insanity. It's when you keep doing the same thing, but you magically expect different results. Now we have 6 games as a body of work. It's a third of the season, more than a third of the season. For anyone who thinks that, well, you're going to get the same thing when you bring in the backup. We've forgotten last year. Last year, we were in a situation where it didn't look good that we were going to make the playoffs. And we bring in a guy who had playoff experience, and magically, no, he didn't beat Houston, but he gave us a memory. He gave us many memories along the way. I think life is about experiences. And for Browns fans, we have to have something that we can cheer about. If you're going to keep trotting this out every week, we know what that looks like. Just if to start the Bengals game, Jameis Winston was to run on the field, what do you think the reaction would be of Browns fans?
Well, plus Nick
It'd be a standing ovation.
But plus Nick Chubb's going to play, supposedly.
Well, hopefully. But it would, I mean, even if Chubb wasn't playing and you saw Jameis Winston come on the field and strap on the helmet, it'd be a standing ovation from the stadium.
Yeah.
So I know it might feel like a Hail Mary, but last year felt like a Hail Mary, and it worked. They gave us experiences. They gave us a reason to turn them on every Sunday afternoon. Right now, there's no reason. I have no reason to turn them on next week other than that it's my job.
And Jay, even worse than that, it's not even just the quarterback play. Like a lot of people have already said, hey, a lot of people in this town are ready to pivot to do something else at quarterback, right? But we get Sean King on week after week. We bring Bernie on week after week. We bring Leroy on week after week. And you know what they all say? Hey, why are we not running the football? Why are we going back to what we used to do better?
It looked like we were going to yesterday.
Yes.
And it worked.
We looked like we were going to it until he ran a reverse on 3rd and 1 with Cedric Tillman.
That lost yards.
It's almost like they're allergic to it. They played that way against
Jackson. And their
Jackson.
defense knew it was coming from the time they broke the huddle.
And the defense looked around like, I know that ain't Cedric Tillman coming in motion.
Yeah.
So it worked in Jacksonville, right? The game plan worked in Jacksonville. So if you're not going to change the quarterback, why are you not pivoting to doing something that has been a proven track record, that worked with backup quarterbacks, that consistently gives you an opportunity to at least be in the football game?
Kevin Stefanski is either derelict in his duties by allowing Deshaun Watson to continue to play, or if he's being told that he can't make the switch, well, then he's being gutless for not standing up to that.
Which one is it, in your view?
I think it's probably B.
It's B.
Jason?
It's B.
I think it's B too.
So
he is too smart of a football man,
right,
to look at this.
So why doesn't he stand up to the owner?
It's the $64,000 question.
What can the owner? The only thing the owner could do is fire him. That's it. He gets paid. He is set for life. He's not like most people that if they get fired, their life could be a disaster. That's not the case for Kevin Stefanski.
And that's the right question to
ask.
And
if he can't sit him, he could definitely say, I'm going to run something that I feel like is conducive to what would be successful.
I did feel like yesterday looked more like what we did last year. Am I right? I didn't count.
I thought that
I saw him under center a lot.
And
to me, I saw jumbo sets.
I've said it all year long. The only way this team can win is heavy sets, extra linemen, establish the run, play action, throw deep on third down.
For a half, it looked pretty good.
I don't think it looked pretty good. They scored
looked
6 points.
You're right.
They scored 6 points?
No. But the running game, I was saying, oh, wow, this is working. We're moving the football. The third down ineptitude, whatever. At one point, you're 0 for 26. Guys, I've never heard of that in my life.
Jalen,
you luck into one third down pickup here and there.
But when you so these games hinge and twist on a few pivot on a few plays. The Browns get the block field goal. They were out of the game. They run it back for a touchdown. Now you get the ball back at the beginning of the half. You move the ball upfield. You had a couple of nice runs under center. You're doing your thing. You're in Eagles territory. It's 3rd and 1. Instead of doing like every other high school, college, even JV football team and line up with your linemen and a bunch of tight ends and hand it to a fullback.
Jameis in for that play.
They brought Jameis Winston in and did a little funky little end around to Cedric Tillman. You get hit in the backfield, then you kick a field goal and miss the field goal.
Yeah.
And then when you get the ball back, Bull, after the defense stops you, they pin you deep. The first play inside on your 4-5 yard line, You go 5 wide in the shadow of your end zone, and they sack you on first play. I'm like, dude, this is the craziest 3 to 4 plays in a row I've ever seen. And guess what? You had a chance to get 7. You missed it. You had a chance to get 3 to be up 13-10. You missed it. And then you get stopped there in the shadow of your goal line. They flip the field, and now guess what? You're losing. That's how it all works, boys and girls.
I think beyond the play calling, and I get what you're saying, but generally for me, I don't get in, to me, I don't get worried about play calling.
I do it with Cedric Tillman on the end around.
Okay, but if it works, then nobody says anything. So they were trying to surprise him, whatever. To me, the most egregious thing about Kevin Stefanski this year is, and I was joking, but I said on my podcast last night that I think he might have been lobotomized in the offseason because he's coming off as someone who's very dumb, and I don't know how that's possible because he's not. He cannot manage the clock. His clock management has been awful.
You're right.
His timeout all these timeouts he's calling before the 2-minute warning, I don't know what he's doing there. Can you explain to me why he kicked the field goal at the end of the game?
No, I thought because of the penalty and they pushed him back.
I don't care.
I agree. I think
you need to score a touchdown.
The only explanation is he doesn't trust his offense to get 7 yards.
Well, then,
that's the only logical.
Yeah.
Well, then, Mike,
change your quarterback.
They're going to have to score a touchdown to win the game.
But
period.
Mike's point also bleeds into the stupid play call of the Cedric. When you don't have a quarterback you can trust, it infects everything. And when you don't have a quarterback you can trust to pick up 3rd and 1, that's when you got to do things like bring Jameson for the sneak because Deshaun is a sneak.
Trick him.
And we know that he does love the trick plays, and a lot of them blow up in his face.
Yeah.
Though sometimes when they work like Jacksonville, we all stand up here and say it was brilliant, call an end around on 4th down, 3rd down, whatever it was. When it doesn't work, we say it's stupid. And I can't, it looked like a horrible play call. It's clearly something was wrong. Somebody messed up something on that play. But it all goes back to whether or not you trust your quarterback. And they don't trust their quarterback. And this is what you get.
Well, it's his fault. That's Stefanski's fault.
I can't argue with you.
That's it.
I can't argue. Because
if he's playing quarterback he doesn't trust,
I have talked to coaches before, NFL, NBA, not baseball, NFL and NBA. I have talked to coaches who were on the hot seat, who were in trouble, who all said, if I'm going down,
that's right.
I'm going down doing it my way.
And he's not doing that.
And he is not doing that.
And
I don't know that he's in trouble. I don't know. Maybe he is. Hey, if they win 2 games this year, they're going to be a lot of changes.
Berry should be fired, in my opinion. He should be fired.
You know, before I start saying that, I really need somebody to tell me what is the hierarchy behind
But we're never going to know that.
Well, they know it.
Yeah.
And it doesned give me comfort knowing that they know it because they can't fix it.
But that doesn't give everybody a pass.
Did you guys see the Jimmy Haslam song, by the way?
Yeah, I texted it to you guys.
Oh,
it was the best.
That.
Yeah.
There's a parody song on Jimmy Haslam.
It's hilarious.
And the Browns.
Yeah.
That is
it's hilarious and pathetic at the same time.
It's sad.
Yeah.
But look, we've got to laugh at something.
Yeah.
We can't just sit here and cry at our record.
Yeah.
And when I watched it, I couldn't stop laughing because it's like a tragic comedy.
Yeah.
And sometimes laughter is the only way out of it.
And this offseason, the conversation's unbelievable. I'm reading this article in The Athletic today. I can't remember who wrote it. Who's the guy who does the 6? Was it Sando, maybe?
Mike Sando, yeah.
He's writing about, hey, the solution for the Browns this offseason might be to trade a bunch of first-round picks for somebody to take Deshaun Watson. I'm like, you can't do that.
No, that's tongue-in-cheek.
No, it was not tongue-in-cheek.
No,
it was Jay, he was 100% serious.
The article was serious. I read the same thing.
Well, I mentioned that last week that maybe get Carolina to take him.
But
you guys killed me for it.
The dead money is too overwhelming.
No, I know. It would have to be to a team like Carolina that's got tons of space.
I'm trying to remember.
$100 million dead cap hit?
It's like $170 million before June 1st, 110 after.
That's for 2 years, though, right?
The only way out, I'm trying to do this off memory, that you have to ride it out this year. There's nothing you can do. I think if you designated a post-June 1 cut next year,
110, I think.
it's 85 the next
85.
2 years. It's an $85 million hit.
Each of the next 2 years?
Each of the next 2 years.
Oh, my
I think.
God.
Now, they could do that because Jimmy is willing to spend.
That is the realistic
They have to
path.
move. He can't be the quarterback.
Well,
after
Jimmy's
this year.
willing to spend, but this is another stratosphere
But what do you
of
want
spending.
to? What other choice do you have?
It's not spending; it limits your ability to bring.
It limits
Jimmy
your
will spend the
roster.
money.
That
You
is the
just
issue.
can't build a roster.
And
like
at
that.
some point, Jimmy has a threshold. Gilbert had a threshold at some
Gilbert
point.
Gilbert absolutely had a threshold.
At some point,
But-
Jimmy's got to have a threshold.
Well, what other option
He's
is
going
there?
to build a 700, or he's going
But
to
the
need
difference,
700 million.
the difference was Gilbert's threshold was very real dollars he had to write checks for,
Right.
and penalties and tax penalties. He's got to write the checks regardless.
And they're going to be asked.
This is just dead space. Go look at the Browns' payroll this year. I actually didn't realize this until this morning. I was looking at this morning. Do you know, according to Over the Cap, the highest paid player in base salary now on the Cleveland Browns for this year is Jack Conklin at $4 million.
because they're kicking everything down the road.
Everything else is $1 million to $2 million. And this isn't a criticism.
That's
of
why they have
Jimmy.
the most cap space.
That's why they have,
technically now.
because everybody's base salary is $1 or $2 million, and everything else is rolled into a signing bonus that he has written checks for and already paid out. The highest paid player on the Browns, according to Over the Cap, in base salary this year is Jack Conklin
That's stunning.
at $4.5
That's
million.
crazy.
Deshaun is like $1 to $2 million. Miles Garrett $1 to $2 million.
Yeah.
Batonio $1 to $2 million. Everything has been rolled into signing bonuses. So that's how you create. So people who say the cap is a myth, it looks that way because few owners are like him that will write that many checks up front.
Right. If you're willing to spend,
But the cap is not a myth when it's an 80. We're talking about a realistic path out of
Yeah.
Deshaun is an $85 million dead cap.
we'll
hit
find
for the
out
next
the cap's
2 years.
a real thing for
and
Jimmy.
we always talk about the cap as a myth. If that is what we're looking at, and it sounds like that's it, that's the reality. I don't know how you even put a competitive
I don't know how
team
you
on the
put a
field.
team on the field.
I don't
with
know
an
how you do
85.
it.
The cap goes up every year, and you.
I
and
know
you-
it does, but 85
and you
million
keep- you keep
for 2 years
restructuring
for
all
a
the-
guy
Wouldn't
that's
they-
not on your team.
Wouldn't they? Are they better off wasting a roster spot on him and just making him?
I
inactive
said
every
that
week
last
next
week.
year?
Send him home.
Yeah.
Just send him home
That's
and pay him.
That's where I am.
That's what Houston did. Now Houston wasn't trying to win. That's what Houston did in 2021. They sent him home and paid him.
Well, okay, so 2 questions. At what point is this a tank?
We're there.
Are we there? Because I thought it was probably 1 or 2 more losses.
Well,
So we're-
Tank. I mean, no, the players aren't trying to lose.
No, the players never want to lose.
Yeah.
The coaches aren't trying to lose either.
Yeah,
believe it
right.
or not.
But there was a time here where they were.
Before we get into tanking McNuggets,
I don't believe the coaches are trying
really,
ever
really
to-
quick,
No,
get your
never.
read off.
No.
Yeah, we got 3 more reads to do in the next
Yeah.
20 minutes. Let me get this read, and we'll come right back to this
October,
conversation.
we're
Jay could
tanking.
ask his second question, and guys, don't laugh because this is a paid read. Okay. If you ever feel like you need a little boost in the bedroom, it's time to stop worrying about your performance and get Hims so you can feel confident knowing you can get hard and stay hard whenever you're in the mood. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis in their genetic form for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their website, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option if prescribed. Your medication ships directly to you in a discreet packaging for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works best for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That is Hims, HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. Hims.com/lockedon. Jay, your second question?
So the first one was, at what point do we tank? The second one is a serious question, and I know we've already been talking about this, but if you're Jimmy Haslam and you're writing all of these ridiculous checks and your team is 1-5, is there going to be a point where he looks himself in the mirror in the morning when he's shaving and he says, I may be rich, but I'm not smart when it comes to football?
That will never happen.
Well, listen, typically with egomaniac billionaires, it doesn't. But this guy is going to write checks for $85 million next year and the following for a guy that likely won't have a Browns jersey on. Do you think, you know him a little bit, do you think at some point common sense will take over? Because again, has anybody ever written a check for $85 million?
I don't know that that's going to happen. That's just a way out. That I think that's the most realistic way out.
But that's the cap hit because of the way it restructured.
If they choose to go this way, That's
Jay,
they may
even
just
if he
be
is on the
stubborn.
roster.
maybe he might still be. He might be back here
Even
next year.
if he's the quarterback. I mean, you're doubling down on Stupid, keeping him on the roster. You're tripling down on Stupid if you keep playing him.
No. Listen, I told people, listen to what I'm saying. I've been saying this for the last 4 months. When people were doing victory laps about how Deshaun Watson sucks and he got to go, I said, well, okay, here's what comes with that. If it don't work, you're looking at a complete rebuild.
Oh,
that's
100%.
That's the only way out of it. Now, here's the
So the cap hit doesn't matter if that's the case.
So the cap hit don't matter in that case. Now, here's the thing. What if, and this is crazy, I know billionaires usually double down on things, right? What is it easier to do? Get rid of Deshaun Watson or get rid of Barry and Stefanski?
Oh, it's easy to get rid of Barry Stefanski.
Easily.
So I'm not saying that's the right choice. But if he's sitting there saying, I can't get rid of the guy because of the $85 million cap hit 2 years in a row, I'm already paying him all these checks up front. Well, listen, that might be the reason they won't let him sit down because he doesn't plan on moving Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. That they're going to hire a new coach and try and just like the Cavs are blaming the coach for their failures.
And we was tripping on that.
And obviously Watson's his failure is a lot worse than the Cavs' failure. But just like the Cavs decided it was all the coach's fault, that's what the Browns might do too.
For that to be the same scenario, Donovan Mitchell would have to average 2.4 points and 1 assist per game. That's how bad
Jay,
this is.
I agree with what you're saying.
We're not saying I agree with this.
The point is, it's not us saying it. I'm saying the owner might decide, let's just blame the owner. Let's just blame the coach, and let's do it again with another coach.
Because
this will never be the worst trade in sports. That will always be Herschel Walker to the Cowboys.
Oh, I think it's this.
I think this is the
Second
worst.
worst.
I think this is the
Yeah,
worst.
but this led to the Cowboys winning. That led to the Cowboys winning 3 Super Bowls.
We don't have the benefit of the results yet.
If you could, I'll say this:
Houston Texans, they're 5-1.
I'll say this, but
The trade didn't cripple the Vikings.
No, it didn't.
I'll say this,
And that's what I said on Friday.
If you
Herschel Walker wasn't a bust.
If you combine it with the contract extension as the worst transaction of all time, I will agree with you there.
And so you're right on a technicality. Okay, you're technically
worst transaction of all time.
Okay,
yes.
You're right.
Yeah.
Because it was, to me, what was more egregious than giving up the 3 first-round picks was doing something that had never been done in the history of the NFL. They guaranteed $230 million to a guy that they knew had tons of baggage and they knew hadn't stepped on a football field in almost 2 years.
And if he played great,
will make you do wild things.
And if he had played great, nothing would have mattered. But he's been beyond awful. Even the most diehard Baker fan could not have imagined Watson being this bad. Nobody could have imagined
Could they have imagined Baker being this good now, post? Because most of them were clouded by Baker. Their judgment was gone.
And what if Haslam says, well, listen, you told me that Baker wasn't worth the money. Now he's balling out.
Who told? See, that's why I need to know. Who is telling him?
Yeah.
Who bent his ear? Who told him
he didn't?
It'll never happen with Baker.
I need to know.
Who told him Deshaun is going to make it happen? Is that Paul? Is it Barry? It's not Stefanski. You'll never convince me that Stefanski was on board with this. I think he was. Look, when life gives you chicken, you try to make chicken salad.
I think Kevin feels like he can win with whatever quarterback.
I believe that that's the case. But I think if you put a gun to head and said you can have Baker or we can spend $230 million that's not your money and we can go with Deshaun, I don't think he ever wanted this
I think
move.
the reality is the organization rightly thought you couldn't win a Super Bowl with Baker. Time will tell if that was right or wrong. I believe that's correct.
No, you're saying
still.
that they rightly thought.
I believe it's still correct. Now, I give Baker his credit. He's playing well. I don't think he has not proven he can win in the big moments. That's been his big failure. But I give him credit. Yesterday looked awful early. Threw 3 picks in the first half.
Back.
And he rallied
all
them
those
back.
picks weren't on him, but
we'll see what he does in the playoffs.
I mean, he threw for 4 touchdowns and 325, and we don't have a quarterback that can throw for 200.
He did a great job. I'm giving him credit.
I know
He's played well.
I know
We'll see what he does in the playoffs. But the Browns felt, and I think a lot of us felt, you ultimately can't win the big prize with Baker. You got to get better at that position. He's a decent quarterback, but that's all he is. Now he's played better than that.
The only way this gets worse
is
if Baker does win the big
prize. Oh,
prize.
my God.
Yeah.
I quit that day. That's the day I quit. I can't do a show like that. That would be nuclear warfare on here.